Ceddanne Rafaela has been incredible lately. Is it time to give him a shot in the big leagues? What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin. The Red Sox #2 prospect and the 76th prospect in all of Major League Baseball has been having himself a month. And it has a lot of fans wondering, when will Ceddanne Rafaela get his shot at Major League Baseball? And is it time for the Red Sox to call him up? Well, that's the question we are going to try and answer today, because today we are answering 3 very important questions about Ceddanne Rafaela's future with the Boston Red Sox. So first is Rafaela ready for Major League Baseball? Has what he's done so far in the minor leagues equated enough to earning himself a call-up? 2, are the Red Sox ready for Rafaela at the Major League level? Is there a spot for him? What are their thoughts on bringing Rafaela up? And finally, we're going to try and figure out when the best time to call Rafaela up to the Major Leagues is and when the Red Sox should do that. But before we get into that, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. Okay, so let's start by answering the first question on our list here. Is Ceddanne Rafaela ready for Major League Baseball? And to figure that out, we got to look at what he's doing in the minor leagues. So far in AAA, he spent about 27 games with the Worcester Red Sox, and after a bit of a slower start since his call-up, he has been a man on a mission. He currently has a good for a 150 WRC plus, or about 50% more productive than the average hitter in AAA. Those are really impressive numbers for a small sample size from a guy like Ceddanne Rafaela. This week, the last week here, Ceddanne Rafaela has taken his game to what feels like another level, at least offensively, right? Over this last week, Ceddanne Rafaela hit 5 home runs in 5 games in a row, right? That is back-to-back-to-back games where Ceddanne Rafaela was leaving the yard. Ceddanne Rafaela, numbers wise, has been really impressive so far since joining AAA Worcester. Now, there are some concerns still with Ceddanne Rafaela's game, despite good gameplay over the last couple of weeks, and it has to do with something that's been a concern of his throughout his entire minor league career, and that is plate discipline, right? Ceddanne really relies on his contact ability in his approach at the plate, right? His plate discipline isn't very great, and what that leads to is not a lot of walks, a lot more contact, and a lot more strikeouts, which again has been his concern his entire career, and it remains his concern as he makes it towards Major League Baseball, because the fear is that once he gets to Major League Baseball and faces a level of pitching that he has never faced before, his discipline's going to be exposed, and he's going to end up swinging and missing a whole lot more than he ever has in his career. Now, so far in AAA, that sort of sentiment has remained the same. He currently has a 22.5% strikeout rate and a 5.8 walk rate, which essentially means that for every walk he's taking, he's striking out 4 times in between. So 1 out of every 5 at-bats, Ceddanne Rafaela is taking a walk, and out of those 5 at-bats, 4 of those are going to be strikeouts, right? Obviously, there's going to be hits and stuff mixed in there, but that's just strictly based on walk to strikeout ratio. But outside of that, there's not really a ton of question marks when it comes to Ceddanne Rafaela's game, right? The power is good. We talked about the home run potential. The contact is fantastic. It's what's carried him through up until this level, and obviously we don't need to talk about how good of a defender he is. He is one of the best defenders in the Red Sox system, and he may even be the best defensive prospect in all of baseball, at least on the MLB's top 100 list. So the question of whether or not he's ready for Major League Baseball simply comes down to, is his contact ability enough at the Major League level to negate his struggles with plate discipline? And the answer to that question is right now, yes, it is. He has been able to use that contact ability to still be a above average production-wise player at the minor league level, but we don't really know what that's going to look like at the Major League level, right? AAA is somewhat close to Major League Baseball when it comes to competition, but when we're really getting down to it, Major League Baseball is a completely different beast than anything you're going to see in the minor leagues. It is the best of the best, the upper echelon, the best players in the world. Can Ceddanne Rafaela's hit tool translate well to Major League Baseball? And the only way we're going to answer that question is to get him everyday at-bats at the major league level and have a large enough sample size to come to that conclusion. So to answer the question of whether or not Ceddanne Rafaela is ready for Major League Baseball, the answer is yes, right? He deserves the opportunity to get here. He deserves the opportunity to see what he could do at the Major League level. And while those concerns are still there, we simply aren't going to know how those concerns translate without seeing what he can do at the Major League level. So with the first question, the answer is yes. Now, the second question on this list is whether or not the Red Sox are ready to call him up. And the simple answer to that is no, right? The Red Sox aren't ready to call up Ceddanne Rafaela. And the longer answer to that is because right now on the Red Sox roster, you have 5 outfielders. You have Massa, Duran, Doogie, Refsnyder, and Adam Duvall. Ceddanne Rafaela can play multiple positions, but if you want him in an everyday role, like the Boston Red Sox tend to do with younger players, they want to get him as many at-bats as possible. That may not be possible on the 2023 Boston Red Sox, because right now, if you were to call Ceddanne Rafaela up, he would have to end up in a sort of utility role where he's playing second base, where he's playing shortstop, where you sneak him into center field, left field, right field, and maybe you can get him at bats 3 or 4 days a week, but they're going to be irregular at bats, right? He's not going to know where he's playing on the field. He's not going to know when he's hitting at the plate. And that to me doesn't seem like something the Red Sox are going to be willing to do. They haven't done it in the past, and it doesn't seem like they're going to do it right now. So in terms of whether or not the Red Sox are ready to call up Ceddanne Rafaela, the simple answer is I don't really think so. I don't think they have the room on the roster to be able to call him up. I think if the Red Sox were ready to call up Ceddanne Rafaela, we would have seen a trade of an outfielder at the deadline, right? Whether that was Duvall, whether that was Verdugo, who is mentioned in trade rumors, trading away one of those guys would have given Ceddanne the opportunity to come up here and play in a more everyday role. Because the Red Sox did not do that, an everyday role right now is just simply not available for Ceddanne Rafaela, and to me, that's a key indicator as to whether or not the Red Sox are ready to call him up. But there's one final question here, and it is when. When are the Red Sox going to be ready to call Ceddanne Rafaela up, and what is the right time to get him in a major league uniform? And I don't think the answer to this question is any point this year. And I know that's a disappointing answer, but think about it, right? Believe it or not, the Boston Red Sox are in a wild card hunt, right? They're in a playoff hunt, the race to get to the postseason. To bring a player like Ceddanne Rafaela up here with the expectations that he has as the number 2 prospect in the system, as a top 100 prospect in baseball, and put him into the middle of a playoff race, to me doesn't seem like the fair amount of pressure to put on a young prospect like that. Because think about it, over the last couple of years, we've had a lot of really big impact rookies on the Boston Red Sox, but there's always been an adjustment period. Specifically this year, when you look at it, right, Masataka Yoshida had an adjustment period. Tristan Casas had an adjustment period. Jarren Duran had an adjustment period. Brian Bayo had an adjustment period. All these young players who are now essentially staples in the Red Sox lineup or in their rotation took time to get there. It took time for them to adjust to playing in Major League Baseball, being a Major League Baseball player. Some even took years in the case of Jarren Duran. So to bring Rafaela up in the midst of a playoff hunt and not allow him that time to truly get adjusted without being like, look, dude, the whole season depends on you performing well right out of the gate, to me, doesn't seem like something the Red Sox would be willing to do. Now, obviously, this situation could change, right? Say the Red Sox get 10, 15 games down the road, and all of a sudden they're 5 games up in a wild card spot. Or say they get 10, 15 games down the road, and all of a sudden they're 7 games out of a wild card spot, and it's starting to really look like, hey, the Red Sox either are going to do it this year for sure, or they aren't going to do it this year for sure. Then maybe they take a chance. Maybe they say, okay, let's get these young guys up here. Let's see what they can do. Let's have them get their first taste of Major League Baseball so that going into 2024, that transition is a little bit easier. But I just simply don't see either of those things happening. I don't see the Red Sox going on a run good enough to put themselves in a position where, hey, we're pretty comfortable with where we are in the wild card standings, or I don't see the Red Sox falling off enough to say, hey, this season we're going to call it a wash. We're going to start to get these young kids up. I don't think either of those are going to happen over the next couple of weeks, which leads me to believe that if we're talking about when the best time to call Ceddanne Rafaela up is, I would believe that would be 2024. Give him everyday at-bats in AAA for the rest of the season. Allow him to continue to grow, to continue to get used to AAA pitching, which is one step down from Major League pitching. Still a giant step, right? But at at least a step nonetheless. And that way he could play every single day. And then going into 2024, bring him into spring training. He's already on the 40-man roster. Have him fight for a major league spot. And if he wins that spot, great. Now you have the ability to have Ceddanne Rafaela on your team and allow him to make those adjustments that he's going to have to make at the major league level at the beginning of the season, where the balance of your season isn't hanging on a whim, right? It's not hanging on a 1-game, 2-game split. It's not hanging on one singular series. He can adjust. He can have a crappy April and then be a productive player through the rest of the season, and it won't harm the team that much. And so for that reason, in my opinion, the best time to bring Ceddanne Rafaela up is at the beginning of 2024. But to answer all of the questions that we asked in the intro of this video, is Ceddanne Rafaela ready for the major leagues? Yes, I think he's ready for Major League Baseball. The question of whether or not the Red Sox are able to bring him up or want to bring him up right now appears to be a no, right? It appears to be that there's not a secure spot on this roster for Ceddanne Rafaela, and for the Red Sox, that's going to make it hard to bring him up. So the final question of when the Red Sox should bring him up, the correct answer to that question is ASAP, right? You want this guy in the big leagues as soon as possible so we can make those adjustments and we can be true contenders in 24, 25, 26. But the real answer to that question is when the Red Sox should bring him up, in my opinion, is 2024. But that is just my opinion. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think the Red Sox should do with Ceddanne Rafaela? Should they call him up ASAP? Should they wait and hold off like I think they should? Let me know all your thoughts on the Red Sox #2 prospect and him being called up in the comment section down below. As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. Helps these videos out a ton, and it would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.